Welcome to Welcome Home Doggy, a show where we talk about creating a better quality of life for all dogs. I'm your host, Arianna Lasha, and today's guest is Miss Candace Solyst, founder of Best Friends on the Lake. So stay with us, we'll be right back. Hi, Candace. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Arianna. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being here today. And I see you brought a very guest of your own.
Yes, this is Maya. She's my sidekick here. She's here to just tell you about the Pooch Pontoon, which is one of the most popular parts of Best Friends on the Lake.
Absolutely. Well, I saw the lifesaver when I walked in, saw Maya, and
so she wants to go socialize.
I just knew that today's show was going to be fun, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us, what is Best Friends on the Lake?
So Best Friends on the Lake is a business that my husband and I came up with years ago, about 10 years ago. And it was a dream that we thought, well, when we get into our retirement years, we would like to have Best Friends on the Lake, which is a little resort where people could come, go fishing, go play with their dogs, do all these kind of fun lake things. Well, now that we're closer to our retirement years, we don't want to work that hard. So we have settled for Best Friends on the Lake is now very highly focused on my husband fishing, and he's the striper guy, and he takes people out striper fishing, and I focus on the Pooch Pontoon. And the main thing that I want to get out about the Pooch Pontoon is its mission of getting shelter dogs out. So what I do is I take dogs from shelters and take them out on these islands. We let them run free. I do Facebook Lives and get them out on social media. And it's been just my passion. And to fund that, I make it available for people like yourself with your dog to come out and have that same experience.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call that settling. I mean, having your dog and on the lake, that sounds like the dream to me. And you mentioned the islands, so I'm assuming Lake Lanier Islands?
Well, it's not Lake Lanier Islands, but it is islands in Lake Lanier.
Oh, okay, so that's where you're located around Lake Lanier.
Yeah, I'm on the north end.
Okay.
So when people think of Lake Lanier, they do think of the south end and Lake Lanier Islands and all that. And that's a much busier and closer to Atlanta. But I'm up on the north end out of Gainesville, and I operate out of Gainesville Marina. And I have about, maybe 5 islands that I go to within a 15-mile radius of the Gainesville Marina. So the dogs, when they first come on, they're a little hesitant about getting on the boat, the movement of the boat. But once they get to the island, which is maximum 15 minutes, then they get to go out and run and sniff and smell and be dogs. And then on the way back, they're like old sailors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and describe in a little bit more detail about how the Pooch Pontoon process works.
Okay, so with the Pooch Pontoon, well, let me back up and just kind of explain how I got started with the whole mission. We had a dog at the shelter at Humane Society of Northeast Georgia that was there almost a year, and they were deeming him unadoptable because he was just kennel crazy. His eyes would be, he was just awful. So I had already been going to these islands for 20 years. Because my husband used to take me in his little fishing boat, and he would literally drop me and my dogs off, and then he'd go fishing, and then he'd come pick us up. So I thought, okay, well, if this has been great for me and my dogs, I'm going to try to take this dog out. So I took this dog out to an island, and they saw such a difference in him that they were like, oh my gosh, we got to do an article on this lady. Somebody's got to find out about her. So the Gainesville Times did a nice little piece on me. And so at that point I thought, maybe I should make this a business.
When did business get started for you?
So it started in 2017 is when I decided I was going to make it a business and then officially do rescue rides. But I hadn't coined it as a rescue ride until recently. And it was slow beginning because I did have a real career. I was a travel director in the incentive travel industry, which thanks to COVID, of course, that went away. And it was a blessing for me because now I can focus on the Pooch Pontoon. And I feel it's a blessing for the shelter dogs because now I probably average maybe 4 dogs a week out, and I'm hoping to get it to be more than 4 dogs a week.
Okay. You are absolutely living the life.
I am. I know I didn't completely answer your question the way you wanted.
No,
but
you're fine. So rescue rides, are those all shelter dogs that are coming on these rescue rides?
Yes, the rescue rides are dogs that are with an official shelter or rescue group. So the dogs might be in foster care or they might be in a shelter. Now, the dogs that are in the shelters are the ones that warm my heart the most because it makes such a difference in their lives. But I've expanded it to having foster dogs as well because the people who serve these dogs need the island experience as much as the dog does, because it's really hard when you foster a dog because you become attached, you see some of their issues. So to me, coming out on the Pooch Pontoon, it gets the person a chance to relax, it gets the dog a chance to relax. And another thing that I do when somebody's interested is I'm a Reiki practitioner. And so what I do is if somebody's open to that, I will add Reiki into the mix out on an island.
What is
and
that?
what is Reiki?
Yeah, go ahead and tell us what Reiki is.
That could be a whole nother interview, but I just am throwing it in there because it's a Japanese word. Reiki means life force energy, and it's a system where you tap into that energy, and it helps for relaxing and healing. And one of the things that really brought it to mind that just recently I started thinking that I'm going to start promoting that a little bit more is in that Gainesville Times interview that I was telling you about. They had a quote in there. It said, it's more about healing, H-E-A-L-I-N-G, than healing, H-E-L-L-I-N-G. So I thought that was cute, and that's really what it's all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And relaxation, that's obviously a huge benefit. What are some other benefits to the Pooch Pontoon adventures?
Well, one of the things that it's really good for them is socializing or learning new experiences. Now, there's a local dog trainer that comes up and brings puppies and gets them experiences, so they get different people, they get different smells, they get different surfaces, movements. It's really great for puppy socialization. And, I leave it to people to decide, how they feel about the age group that they bring up. And, but yeah, I take all ages, and the socialization is incredible for them.
And it sounds like it. I mean, we need to be social, so I'm sure, pooches enjoy it as well.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the process. What do you do to get ready before you take these dogs out?
Okay, so what I do, it's, I go to the islands daily. So part of my process is making sure the islands are as safe as they can be, because you're out in nature.
Right.
So nature is nature. But I'll go, we do share the islands because they're not my personal islands, even though I like to think they are. And I'll pick up garbage that people have left. So I look for like leftover food items, any kind of glass and stuff like that that people leave. And I just clean up the trails a little bit. Then I get my boat ready. I have different cleaning protocols after each dog. I go through and clean the boat completely, and then gas her up, get her all, make sure everything's all ready to go. Check my first aid kit, because I do carry a first aid kit with me on board just to be safe. Thank goodness I've never had to use it.
Right.
And just,
And what about from the dog's point of view? Because I'm just picturing Maya in a life vest over here.
Yeah, I do provide life jackets for all the dogs, and I do strongly recommend we put them on the way over, especially, because we're never quite certain how they're going to be. And it's a great photo op, for one. And if we do have an overboard, it's a lot easier to get them on. And in my 20-plus years, I've only had one overboard. So,
do you want to talk about that experience?
It was actually kind of funny. It was a lady that's come out a couple times, and she had a Springer puppy that was 8 months old, but a Springer puppy 8 months old is about 50, 60 pounds. And she had him on the leash. We were just chatting, and nice little, slow ride. And a seagull came up from behind us, and we didn't see him. He just swooped right up, and it was right there at the dog's nose before we knew what happened. And so the dog just went for the seagull, and he didn't even realize he was going overboard.
Right.
So she had him on a leash, but we just let him go the rest of the way over. And then we just circled back around, picked him up, and put him in.
It's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, so nothing too crazy.
Absolutely. So does Pooch Pontoons operate year-round?
We do. My favorite time is fall and winter, believe it or not.
Okay, that is interesting. I was going to ask you, do you have like a slow season?
Yeah, it's slower in the winter because most people don't want to brave the cold, but the dogs love it, and I love it because it really is like it's my own lake. Because there's not very many people out there. Summer is the busiest time because, of course, everybody wants to go out and enjoy the lake. And I do have some wonderful excursions that I take out. We'll go even for 4 hours, and people will bring a picnic lunch. We'll set up on the island, and we'll just swim. I bring pool floats and toys, and so we have a really good time with that. My least favorite time is just past. It's the spring because of all the geese that are having nests and the deer.
I thought you were going to say because of the allergies, but
and then that's the biggest reason, because the pollen on the lake is awful. Like, you'll sometimes come in and you'll just see a sea of yellow. So I actually stopped going for just a few weeks ago, because I monitor where the nests are, and I won't go anywhere near a nest. And I know how the dogs generally act, so there's some islands I won't even go to because I know it's not big enough and the dogs could find the geese. And so, but now there's only one goose left on her nest, so she must have been a late starter. But now all the geese are gone and we're back to...
You guys are ready to roll.
We are ready to roll.
How long is a typical rescue ride?
A typical rescue ride is about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So it depends on the dog, but most of them, they're ready to go because most of the time the dog could go all day, but the volunteer that brings them out, they have schedules.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I mean, that's still a nice little break to get out on the lake.
Yeah.
How many dogs do you take on your boat at one time?
That'll vary. One of the things, and I'm glad you asked about that, because the one thing that is very important is the dogs have to know each other before they come on the boat. Because it's a small space on the boat. Once we get to the island, it's fine because everybody gets along. But on the small space of the boat, they have to have played together before. And so the most I've ever had, and these were friends and family, there were 5 people and 8 dogs. And we were crowded.
Yeah, sounds like a full
but
boat.
A typical rescue ride will be one dog, because a lot of the dogs that we take out, they're not sure how they interact. The Humane Society of Northeast Georgia has a playgroup program that halted during COVID. But once that gets back together, once we know the dogs are good in playgroups, then we'll take them out in groups. And so it's maybe 3. But, yeah, that's a nice number. Is like, my perfect number is 2 people and like 2 to 4 dogs.
So what if I was interested in coming and then there was somebody else, but our dogs didn't know each other? Is there a process beforehand to kind of get them acclimated?
I would recommend that I don't get involved in that process. No. So you have to come and I trust that your dogs have played well together.
Right. So I got to come with somebody who's also they're ready to go to.
Or, if they go to dog parks and they've played with other dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean,
take them there and test. You can take them there and test them, or go to a local trainer that helps people, see how they do, because they have to get along in a small space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Why would you recommend these pontoon rides for people, for the pooches, everybody? Why would you recommend it?
Oh my gosh. It's one of the things that I always say is, like, when I get in a little bit of a funk, my husband goes, go out on your pontoon. Because there's something about being out on the water and being out in nature that just is relaxing. And so you take that as in my opinion, is number 1. But then number 2, like I mentioned before, there's so much that the dogs can learn. And this trainer that brings these puppies up, it's amazing. Like, the puppies get a dog ride up, they walk across different surfaces to get on the boat. And I have to say, we never ever force a dog to do anything. And some dogs do have trouble going across the ramp. And if that is the case, then what we'll do is we'll be patient. We'll try to entice them to come over. And if that doesn't work, then I go to another area where they don't have to cross a ramp. But I'd say 9 out of 10 dogs, they learn to manage all the different surfaces, and they get all the different experiences. So it's just, and also I talk about the lake. So I can tell you all kinds of stories about the lake, so you'll learn all about Lake Lanier when you're out with your dog as well.
Right, and there are some stories surrounding Lake Lanier. What other plans do you have coming up for Pooch Pontoon?
Yeah, well, that is, speaking of the lake, In the fall, I am going to start doing haunted lake tours.
Which is perfect for Lake Lanier.
Isn't it? Yeah, because it's been featured on a lot of shows recently of things that happen on Lake Lanier, and it is known as a haunted lake. I personally think that they're probably really nice haunters because I have had nothing but good experiences on the lake. But it's a fun thing for people, and I have one island in particular that I will incorporate a walk with your dogs, so that'll still be a private thing. But yeah, so coming this fall, haunted lake tours on the Pooch Pontoon.
Well, I'll definitely be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Have you ever been concerned about a dog getting lost or running away when you're on tour?
No, I don't worry about it because it is an island, and I do have a tracker that I put on them, and the tracker is more for the person because it helps them relax because they know that their dog is within sight distance, or when they're not within sight distance, we know where they are on the island.
Okay, so bring some comfort, some ease.
Yeah, it makes, and a funny story I like to tell is the very first really nervous lady that I took. She had a little Jack Russell Terrier that she had adopted, and it was, Jack Russell living in an apartment doesn't work well. It's just super hyper, and every time she took it on a walk, it would literally walk on its back legs, pulling on the leash because it wanted to go so much. So she decided her dog hated her. She came up on the Pooch Pontoon, and I explained to her we were just going to let him off the leash and go, and she was almost hyperventilating the thought of taking her dog off a leash. So I put the tracker on, and then I convinced her to take the collar off, the leash off. And again, I won't force anybody to do anything they don't want. But she finally did, and I could tell she was so nervous, so I got my iPhone out and I set the timer, and the dog took off. And I thought she was gonna lose it. And she's like, oh my God, he's been gone 20 minutes. And the dog came back, it was a minute.
Oh, wow.
And she would have bet her life that it was 20 minutes.
Wow.
And so then the dog left again and then came back in like 45 seconds, checked in with her. His whole body was wiggling, and then he ran off again. And then a couple minutes later, another like 30 seconds, he came back. So by the end of the walk, the dog was tired, so it was walking right next to her, and it curled up on her lap on the way back, and she was in tears the whole way back because she realized her dog loved her.
Yeah.
And she thought her dog hated her.
That must be fun for the dogs too, to get to like free roam and have like that freedom.
Yeah, yeah, they love it. Yeah.
And I know you talked a little bit about the dogs, and obviously it's Pooch Pontoons, but I know you said you've had some other animals come on boats with you. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, I could name it the goat boat.
Okay.
I had a neighbor who had a goat that would frequently come over and play with my dogs and whatnot. And so she loved going out on the Pooch Pontoon. So when she's on, though, I change it to goat boat.
Okay.
And then I also have a cat who thinks she's a dog. He's a dog. And so he likes to go out. And sometimes I call it the cat cruiser, but it's usually a dog's there. But
yeah, so you're ready to take out anybody who's ready to go.
Yeah, and if you have a goat or a cat, they'll bring them along, a pig. I don't mind.
Pig pontoon, maybe welcome home pigs. We'll see how far we get.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Candace. I appreciate your time on the show today. And hey, I may call you up next weekend. We can go take the boats out, and I'll bring my Pooch.
I hope so. Well, and the one thing I do like to one last thing is just to tell people in shelters and rescue groups, I've reached out to several just to know that it is free, completely free for any shelter dog and the active volunteers or rescue groups. So don't hesitate to call. Administrators just have to give you the permission, and we'd love to have to serve more shelters and rescues.
So if people are interested, they should contact you directly or through Facebook?
They can go to my website and go directly, or go to my Facebook page. And I also do a lot of fun things on my Facebook page, so go in there and like and heart and thumbs up and all that. And I do little contests and prizes, so so come see me on Facebook.
Well, perfect, will do.
Good.
Thank you for being here today, Candace. And I wish Maya was here. I don't know where
she's
ventured
over
off to.
Hey, My Pie. Come here, Pie Pie. Come here.
She'll get here.
Here she comes.
Hey, Maya. So we've got Maya here, my favorite prop of the day, but I see you've got something very interesting next to you. You want to explain this?
Yeah. Well, one of the things, like I said, I do other things along with, when we're out on Pooch Pontoons, I'm always looking at the fun rocks and trees and feathers and whatnot, and I'm always looking for driftwood, and I do driftwood safari specifically, and I found this piece, believe it or not. It's actually two pieces, so you'll see, I think it looks like a horse.
Okay.
And all I did is I found it laying in the lake, and I just cleaned it up and put it on another piece of wood right here. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's a lot of fun.
Fun stuff to do at the lake.
Yeah.
So within Best Friends on the Lake, we've got Pooch Pontoons, we've got the
Driftwood Safari.
and then what else?
We've got Island Reiki.
Okay.
We've got fishing with the striper guy.
So you can do it all. Just
Yeah,
Best
and we've
Friends on the
got
Lake.
the goat boat and the cat cruiser.
Yes, and you said the pigs one day. So.
Yeah, the pig pontoon. Yay!
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Candace.
Well, thank you for having me. It was certainly a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, if you want to know more about Pooch Pontoons and today's guest, please visit our website. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. I'm your host, Arianna Lasha, and this is Welcome Home Doggy.